It all started about 18 years ago, actually. I had my dream job working from home, but I quickly found that it was so easy to get distracted. I was wasting time on social media and playing games instead of delivering on my projects. So I ended up creating a script that would kind of lock me out of those distracting websites, and it works surprisingly well. We've actually had about 70,000 people use the software. They say they've been able to use it to kind of retrain themselves, to build that personal discipline and to break those bad habits.
Welcome to this week's episode of Wealth Talk. My name is Christian Rodwell, the Membership Director for WealthBuilders, joined today by our founder, Mr. Kevin Whelan. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Chris. Good to be with you again. And you know what? I'm so glad you found a tool to keep you from wasting all your money on those gambling websites.
Oh, well, if anyone's confused by that, then yeah, we are talking tools today, online tools to stop you getting distracted when you're online. And Kevin, if I were to ask you, what's the number one kind of excuse or reason why people, hold themselves back, I suppose, from building wealth? What would be the words that come to mind?
Well, they always say a lack of time, a lack of bandwidth, or some words that indicate that. And that confusion is often a big challenge. For anything that has a long-standing value, something worthwhile requires commitment, discipline, and focus. And sometimes it's easier to be distracted. So great thought from you, from one of our members today, actually, who created a business that we discovered after he joined WealthBuilders. So that's a good discovery on your part, Chris. So well done. And thanks for bringing it to the attention of our listeners.
Yeah, so our guest is WealthBuilder member, Jon Rumens. He's the founder of FocusMe, which you're going to be finding out all about in just a moment. But that's right, we've been helping Jon with a SSAS, and he'll explain a little bit of his wealth builder journey at the beginning of the interview. But we know that people are short of time, and so anything that you can find to help you be more efficient and more productive has got to be a good thing. So I hope that you enjoy listening to our conversation today with Jon Rumens. Jon, welcome to Wealth Talk today. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Christian?
Yeah, I'm very well. Great to see you. And Jon, today we are talking about your businesses, which are FocusMe and ReclaimTime. And it's something I'm sure that every listener will relate to. So, lack of time. And it's probably one of the biggest contributors, I would say, that we hear as to, why people don't achieve financial security and financial independence, because they allow other things to get in the way and distractions. So you've developed, obviously, some great businesses which help people with that. And we're going to find out all about that today.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Also, WealthBuilders member, and we helped you set up your SSAS pension. Why did you want to set up the SSAS?
I think I got the idea from being on the property mastermind with Property Investors Network. So yeah, the idea was to make better use of my pension, which would otherwise just be sitting there invested in funds, and really just to be able to put that to better use and really grow the pot over the long term.
Yeah. And have you managed to put the SSAS into use so far?
I have, yes. So one of our projects we've invested in is a large HMO refurbishment in Hove here on the coast. So that's with some property friends of ours. So we did a third-party loan for that. And then I'm also just at the final stages of doing a sponsoring employer loan back so that we can use the funds for one of our own deals.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, we know that to create financial independence, you need to build recurring income streams from assets. And we call those assets pillars. We've got the 7 pillars of wealth at WealthBuilders. And, we're talking today about your business, but you've just mentioned property, you're leveraging your pension, doing joint ventures. So, all the good stuff that we love at WealthBuilders, and, a fine example. But let's get into the businesses, Jon. So 2 businesses I mentioned at the beginning, FocusMe and ReclaimTime. Tell us about both of those.
So I'll start with FocusMe. It all started about 18 years ago, actually. I had my dream job working from home, a bit rarer in those days than it is now. And I was working as a software engineer, but I quickly found, within a few weeks that it was so easy to get distracted. I was wasting time on social media and probably playing games instead of doing my work, delivering on my projects, and got to the point where, I was having to come up with excuses for why I wasn't delivering things on time. So that was quite embarrassing because I take a lot of pride in my work, generally. So being a software guy, I kind of looked around to see if there was anything existing out there, any existing products out there that could help me. But everything I found was too easy for me to bypass. I could just easily work around it with my kind of technical background. So I ended up creating a script initially for Windows that would kind of lock me out of those distracting websites. And it works surprisingly well. A couple of years later, I'd improved it, and I shared it in some online forums, started to get some really good feedback. People wanted to support the project. They wanted to see it improve. I started sending in feature requests. So due to demand, really, I started accepting donations and then turned it into a subscription model for that recurring revenue. And I think I worked on it for just over a decade as a kind of a hobby or a side hustle, kept improving it over time, implementing as many features as I could. And, occasionally some customer would find a workaround that I hadn't patched. That would really bother me. So I would really work relentlessly to solve those. And I think the end result is it's a very robust product that can really help you stay on track.
Well, it certainly is, because I've been using it myself. And, if you want to basically unlock the web browsers, the sites that you've chosen to turn off, then there's like an enormous key that you have to type out. And, frankly, you don't want to do that. So it does its job.
The idea is just to make it hard enough that you won't turn it off. So we've got the features like the random characters that you need to type in perfectly to unlock it, or the fixed pauses that you need to have when you want to stop a plan. So you're blocking social media. So you might have a pause of 5 minutes, 10 minutes before you can actually get your access.
So let's just keep on the FocusMe for a moment. So,
sure.
So this is for individuals, right? So, anyone who knows that as soon as they get online on their computer, they're meant to be doing something. Before they know it, you're on Facebook, you've clicked a link, you've ended up somewhere, 5-10 minutes have passed by, and then you're like, oh God, what was I originally here for? And that happens to all of us, I'm sure. And for me, I've been using FocusMe to make sure that I get my emails and my inbox done first thing in the morning, because it's not something, and Kevin will laugh because my emails sometimes, back up, and it's perfect for that, right? Because I can't open anything else. So it just makes me get it done.
Exactly. It's really good. You can use it for single tasking. So you can allow yourself access to just that particular website or application or combination that you need for any particular task, and everything else can potentially be blocked, and that works really well just to keep you on track.
Yeah. And you've created it with sort of full control and flexibility. So you could have any sort of time blocks throughout the day, and any sites that you either have access to or don't have access to. So, it's customizable, isn't it, to work with your own sort of schedule?
Exactly. And then one of the earliest features we added is to be able to add additional distractions on the fly. So once you set up a plan, if you then find yourself on a different social media site, or just wasting time, you can quickly add that into your plan that's already running, just to get it taken care of, so that you're back on track.
And it clearly works, right? So what was just, something useful for yourself, as you said, you shared it, and other people contributed to the feedback. You currently, over 700 reviews at the moment, rated excellent on Trustpilot. That's brilliant. How many people have now used it or are using the software, Jon?
Well, so we've actually had about 70,000 people use the software, and we've had about 15,000 of those convert to being customers, and a slightly smaller number who have stayed with us. But one of the things I'm really happy with is when people tell me they're cancelling their subscription, that they don't need the software anymore. Is when they say they've been able to use it to kind of retrain themselves to build that personal discipline and to break those bad habits, so they no longer need the software. That makes me really happy when I hear that, even though someone's leaving, because I know those people will likely be telling their friends, about us. That way we keep the word spreading.
Absolutely. And, to build up that level of customers now means, this is a good recurring income business. Profits. Why is recurring income so important, do you think, Jon?
To have that freedom and be able to be your own boss. So I made the jump about 7 years ago. So I was previously, like I said, I was doing this on the side for the first kind of 10 years. And I could see there was decent revenue coming in. It wasn't quite enough to live on. It's about half as much as we would need to live on. I took the big leap of faith to believe that if I invested more of my time into the product, into building customer base, that we could increase the number of subscribers. So luckily we were able to do that thanks to our wonderful customers out there.
No plans to step back into a job anytime soon then?
No plans. No. I do enjoy, like I said, being my own boss. It just gives you so much flexibility. I've got a family now, two daughters, and it's just great having that freedom.
Yeah, and obviously, an online business gives you the freedom to travel and be able to still check in and run that business from pretty much anywhere, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Good. So you talked about some of the the clients and how it's helping them. You must have kind of picked up, I suppose, over the years quite a few tips now on managing time effectively and trying to change bad habits. Anything else that perhaps you can share for our listeners, who are struggling with this?
First thing I would recommend is to use focus blocks of time. So block out time in your calendar, and you can also use FocusMe if you need some additional help, just to focus on your biggest priorities, your tasks that are going to make the best impact in your business. So block out that time, use tools like FocusMe to help you if you need it. Yeah, so that would be my first tip there.
The word that comes to my mind is discipline, which I think is where FocusMe steps in, right? Because for many years, I've been practicing different time management techniques and blocking calendars and, Eat That Frog, all the different books and ways that are out there, the Pomodoro timers. And having discipline is the hardest thing, right? So the software almost, is like, you don't have a choice there, do you? It's like,
yeah, it kind of puts your discipline on autopilot, really. So it's really useful to have it there as a kind of a guardrail. Everybody at times, their willpower will falter. And if you've got that support there, that can really help.
We mentioned your other business, ReclaimTime. Did that follow after FocusMe?
That did, yeah. So I started that about 5 years ago. So we were actually approached by Stanford University and New York University, NYU, because they were doing a study of 4,000 participants and they wanted to track their digital behaviors, how they were spending time. So that was really the Kickstarter for what resulted in ReclaimTime. So that's our business version of the product. So that has all the features of FocusMe, so the individuals in an organization can use it just the same way as in FocusMe. But in addition, you have the ability to set controls and restrictions at an organizational level if you want to, and it can also report back kind of digital usage statistics back to the organization. But we try and do that in a privacy respectful way. So many of our customers, they're most interested in how certain business tools are being used and, things like how much time people are spending in meetings, and they want to make sure that their team are not overworking, so spending too many hours on screen. So it can help highlight any issues if you have anybody who's working too long hours or that kind of thing.
Excellent. And you very kindly offered our listeners a 2-week trial and a discount.
For everybody, we offer a 2-week free trial of FocusMe. So we'd invite everybody to make use of that. And then in addition to the Wealth Talk listeners, we're very happy to give a 20% discount on their first subscription payment. So they can use the coupon code Wealth Talk to make use of that. And then also for ReclaimTime, we're so confident in the product that we're happy to also offer a 30-day trial to businesses who are interested.
Well, thanks so much for that. I'll share the links in the show notes today. So if you're listening now, then click on those show notes and get going. You will definitely see the benefits. I can guarantee that. Any final words, like, again, coming back and drawing upon your experience how long does it take to sort of, change habits and kind of get into a better cycle of managing your time, would you say, Jon?
The best strategy with changing habits is to focus on one thing at a time. So don't try and do everything overnight, but to start small. So that may be, setting those focus blocks for say the morning, where you work on your highest priority task first thing, or it might be, blocking your access in the evening when you should either, be with family or actually be sleeping. just kind of tackle one habit at a time.
Jon, really appreciate you taking the time out and sharing with us today on Wealth Talk. Thank you, and wish you all the best.
Thank you, Christian. It's been a pleasure.
So a real entrepreneur story there, Kevin, isn't it?
And now people can see you're not really a gambler, Chris, are you?
No, it's the emails.
I think it's the websites that. Yeah. I do have a go at you about your emails. I haven't looked recently because, we don't pry. I do occasionally say, you want to have a quick look? Because I get my emails to zero, but you never do. So it's an interesting one, that one.
Oh, the thought of a zero inbox. But that's the purpose of FocusMe, isn't it? Is to carve out that time. So it's all about discipline and accountability. Those are two key elements of a committed wealth builder, aren't they?
Well, they are. And you could tell, Jon is committed. And also because it's not just the commitment, he's got the technical skill, hasn't he? And I think what I love about the wealth builder environment, and I think environment is an important word, where you seek that support, is you meet or hear or learn about distinctions that other people make that can be incredibly powerful for you. And we often use the term your one ROI from a transformation in your wealth, one relationship, one opportunity, or one idea from a complete transformation in your wealth, or in your case, a complete transformation of your inbox. So, we want that ROI to work for our members, don't we? So this might not be the biggest thing for everybody, but if it helps one or two people, or in Jon's case, several thousand people to become more focused, whether for their personal lives or in their business lives, or business owners who want to encourage that sense of productivity and commitment to the highest possible earning work. And I'm sure, my son, who's a lawyer, is always telling me about billable hours, so you want to be able to bill as many hours as possible if you're a lawyer. And I suppose that's true in many businesses. You want to encourage your staff to do the best they can. So you definitely want to add, it's nothing to do with Big Brother. It's nothing to do with reporting. It's nothing to do with catching people out. It's everything to do with encouraging strong values within a company, strong commitment, strong accountability. And if you do all those things and you've got the tools to help it can only be a good thing, I think.
And Jon's a perfect example of creating multiple streams of recurring income. And he talked about using his pension, he's using property as an asset, and a membership business, a subscription service such as FocusMe, where he's got over 70,000 users, 15,000 paying customers. And that's a fantastic recurring income stream. And why you love business, Kevin, because it's really unlimited, isn't it? There's no roof on how far you can take that.
Yeah, if you wanted to say I had 15,000 houses, that would be hard work. 15,000 customers, you just have one good idea and one good marketing plan could make that happen. And it's more exciting. And I think Jon has done an incredible amount of good work, and he stuck with it, and he saw the legitimate widening of that from the needs of individuals to the needs of businesses. And I commend him for that. And also, I think when we see what's going on in the world right now, we got all this uncertainty politically. We've had Trumponomics going mad. We had kamikaze economics from the UK a while ago, and now we got the Trump tariffs sending the stock market spiraling out of control. With so many things that can derail you that you have to react to. So if you can get focused and that apply some of that focus, certainly we would recommend, apply some of that focus to building recurring income. You can build a financially bulletproof fortress, can't you, really? You can get yourself into a place where something goes wrong, you can be irritated by, you could even be upset by a little bit, but you're never going to be devastated. And in an uncertain world, an increasingly uncertain world, certainty only comes from that diversification of income streams from assets. So congrats to Jon for doing that, and congrats to you for finding out a bit more about what he did and sharing that with others, and I'm sure we'll have more stories from others as well. But the other thing about holding accountability, Chris, is I mentioned environment. So if you're in an environment of support, if you're in an environment where people around you are doing good things, and of course you've got some really great information to share about our coaches, who are another piece of focus, although it's not a tool, but they're real people to help you stay on track.
I was just having a look before we started recording, Kevin. Yes, at the coaching feedback for our Academy members and our SAS members. And currently 9.32 out of 10 is the score. and it's never dropped below 9 in the 5 years since we've had one-to-one coaching as part of our program, which just shows the consistency, the level of value that the coaches provide for our members.
Yeah, and I think we made a decision, didn't we, to stick exclusively with the coaching program because we saw those people who were getting coaching were getting results, and those people doing the DIY were not. And it wasn't that they didn't have the intelligence to do it. It wasn't that they didn't have the financial resources to do it. They just got distracted. That distraction is something that can be devastating after a while. So having a tool is great. Having an environment is great. Having a coach is great. And in some cases, having a mentor is great. If you're really focused on one single thing and you want to work with someone who's outstanding in that single field, which is an important part of also what we do, Chris, is to find mentors for people if they've got a specific area of wealth building that they want, where we find someone who's outstanding in that field, where we might be good, we know all the principles. So in many respects, I suppose, a bit like a WealthBuilders being a sort of a business-like financial GP with the broadest skills possible, with the holistic nature of WealthBuilders. I think we're the only holistic wealth building company in the UK. But like all good GPs, you're picking up on who's outstanding in the field of this aspect of wealth, or another one. And that's why we love to showcase and highlight, not Jon because he's talking about coaching and mentoring, but because he's got a tool that might just find you that extra half an hour in a day to then spend that time with your coach, and then that coach will transform your life. So all these things compound upon each other, Chris. So good for you to share that. And I hope our listeners liked it.
Yeah, and you can get a 2-week free trial of FocusMe. You can sign up straight away. Just click the link in today's show notes. And Jon's also offered an extra 20% discount for Wealth Talk listeners. So thanks again to Jon. And if you want to find out more about how we can help you to build multiple streams of recurring income, then head to wealthbuilders.co.uk and book a discovery call and find out how we can support you and your family in your journey to financial independence. We'd love to chat to you.
Yeah, and our focus really, our message is really about doing one important but significant thing each month, isn't it? So, whatever happens, don't get distracted. Do this one thing. And if you do that one thing, that will lead you to the next thing. And that momentum keeps you moving. And that's why people can build wealth in 3 to 5 years in a way they just couldn't do if they did it on their own. So I think these are all valuable lessons, sort of all interconnected to the big message that we share.
So thanks for listening today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hit the share button if you did. And Kevin, you and I will be back same time, same place next week.
We will indeed, my friend. And until then, see ya.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget that we are constantly updating our resources inside the Wealth Builders membership site to help you create, build, and protect your wealth. Head over to wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership right now for free access. That's wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership.